Hello and welcome to a new episode of Podcast Demastered. I'm your host, Ethan Meyer, and I'm joined, as always, by my two very good friends, Wade and Chelsea. And welcome to episode 48 of the podcast. We're getting ever closer to the 1 year episode. We got some big things planned for that, and Wade is actually going to talk about a little bit before we get into the bulk of this episode. So Wade, you want to tell the listeners about the anniversary episode?
Yeah, I'm still kind of like going through an existential thing here, like a full year of episodes. Oh
yeah,
my god.
It's pretty crazy to think about.
It doesn't feel like it's been that long at all.
Yeah, I feel like we are still getting into the groove of things. And we're already like a year into it, so that's pretty crazy.
I'm still waiting for our like celebrity guest episode.
Yeah, right?
Yes.
We still need one of those. If anybody knows any celebrities out there, that would be cool.
Yeah. They want to lower themselves,
right.
Let us know.
But anyway, so we have our 1 year anniversary coming up, and we would really like to hear from you all about this episode. We really want to do like a Q&A kind of thing. We want to hear questions from you about anything that's for us, really, like what we like, what we don't like, things that you want to hear us talk about, anything.
Questions about the show.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe questions about episodes we've done. Questions about maybe future episodes that we could do. Anything about us. Get as personal as you want. Chelsea's really open.
Oh gosh.
So, but yeah, so should be fun. So, Chelsea, where can they send their questions?
Yeah, so you can message us on our social medias on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Pod Demastered. You can also feel free to send us an email with those questions, which is at demasteredpodcast@gmail.com.
All right, there you go, guys. So
excellent.
Yeah, we'd really like to hear from you all, and be a cool way to kind of celebrate the anniversary for this podcast. So we look forward to hearing from our listeners.
And I know I've got students out there listening now, so you all can ask questions too. That's okay.
And again, be as personal as you want. All right, so with that out of the way, we got all the podcast business out of the way. Now to talk about what we're talking about today, and it is the Star Wars episode. We're the three of us have been talking about this for a while now, and Star Wars is such a huge IP that spans generations. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of fervor out there about it, good and bad. So it was really kind of hard to really nail down how we wanted to tackle this property. So really today we're kind of just gonna keep it loose, and we're gonna talk about a couple different things. We're gonna talk about just pretty broad what our five favorite things about Star Wars are. We're gonna go around and we're gonna talk about what our favorite lightsaber color is. We're gonna talk about if we could go to any of the locations in the Star Wars universe, which one we want to go to and why. Just stuff like that. We're not gonna get too hot and heavy. We're not gonna have heated debates over this and that. So if that's what you're looking for, I'm sure there's 1,000 other podcasts you guys can tune into to listen to all those hot takes. We're gonna keep it loose and really just kind of wax poetically about a universe that we all like in different levels. And so yeah, with that being said, I say we kind of just jump right in here.
I want to add really quick that listeners, if you want to hear Ethan get riled up about something Star Wars, ask a question in the Q&A.
Yes.
if you
that'll work really well, I promise.
Yeah. Yeah. You can at me at Twitter. We'll talk.
No.
We'll talk.
That's a trap, children. Don't do it.
I got all the time in the world. So, all right. So let's start off with our 5 favorite things. We'll kind of do this round robin like we usually do. If if you've been listening to the show, you're used to us just kind of going around taking turns listing off our one at a time. So does anybody want to go first? Anyone have a good one? Any volunteers? Wade?
I have a good one. I think
All
I have
right.
a good one.
right.
Something I like about Star Wars is the fact that Star Wars is so accessible, and that you have access to Star Wars no matter what kind of media you prefer. On a screen, off a screen, in print, games, anything and everything.
Toys.
It's everywhere. Toys,
Board games.
board games.
Yeah,
It's
I don't.
everywhere.
I don't think there's a medium that Star Wars hasn't, got its fingers in. So,
Very true.
there's like Star Wars cookbooks. So, I mean, Star Wars cocktails, and there's a little bit of Star Wars for everybody out there. So, yeah, that's. And you're talking about something that's been around for like three generations worth of fans. So it's a lot of content out there. Chelsea, you want to go next?
Yeah. So, yeah, kind of going with the whole thing that, Star Wars is like in everything. And one of my number 5 pick is actually an experience, a Star Wars experience, which is the ride at Disney's Hollywood Studios, which is Star Tours. The adventure continues.
Star Tours. Yes.
Man,
Yes.
it's great, that whole like 4D experience, and how basically every single time you ride it, it's slightly different, so you can just keep riding it multiple times and have a new experience, and it's just a fun ride. It's a blast, even for people who aren't super like into Star Wars. They enjoy it.
Yeah, just the ride itself. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've never been to any of the Disney theme parks, and I haven't. It's gonna be a long time before I do any of that Galaxy Edge stuff, because I'm not a millionaire, so I can't afford to go there yet. So, but yeah, I've heard really like cool things, just like being able to like walk into some of these environments and just seeing like the detail that they put into it would just be cool for me. I'm not really big into like rides. I kind of just want to, we talked about this with Harry Potter, just like walking through like Hogsmeade and stuff like that. Like I would love to do that with Star Wars, just kind of like walking into the cantina or just walking through and looking at all the stuff and just kind of getting that feeling, that'd be good enough for me.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let me see. I'm gonna go with kind of a lame one. I have 5, but they're not in order by like, any particular order. I guess they're just 5 things I like. Lightsabers.
Lightsabers.
It's like one of the coolest contributions that Star Wars has. Like, it's one of the most iconic pieces of weaponry. It's essentially just a lot of Star Wars was highly influenced by like Eastern philosophy and Japanese culture and samurai and stuff like that. So it's basically just like a katana made out of like energy. Like it's pretty badass.
Well, and nowadays there's so many different like variants of the lightsaber.
Yeah.
There's always a new character that has like a new form and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And see, the new fighting style that comes with it is always so cool.
Yes.
Yeah, this year I watched that Star Wars Visions, which is basically just like, I think it's like there's like 10 or 12 different like little short animated stories and like that are from like all these different Japanese studios, and like one of the lightsabers is like just straight up just a katana, but it's a red lightsaber, but even the blade is like shaped like a katana. It's not just like a straight bar or whatever. Like it was badass.
Nice.
Like that whole show is awesome. They go pretty crazy with lightsaber designs and capabilities. So, which is pretty cool. But yeah, that's like when I was a kid. Like that was one of my like a wow thing. I'm just like, whoa, this is different. This is cool. Like. So yeah, that's always stuck with me. Wade, what about you?
So this is something that I own that is Star Wars related, and Chelsea made me think about it, talking about like the Galaxy's Edge stuff. I got one of those like BB-8 cups, Like it's just like a mini BB-8, except like there's a straw that sticks out of it. When I took my band kids to Disney World, oh God, 7 years ago, I guess, it's my first year teaching. It was like the first thing that I bought. And I like just carried that sucker around. It's just like sitting on my bookshelf now. Just having a good time.
Nice.
I love it so much.
How big is it? How much cola does that hold?
It's pretty big.
Like a gallon?
Yeah, maybe. That's not quite that big. But it's pretty big.
It's got like a shoulder strap to carry it when it's filled up.
That'd be nice, but no.
Carry it like a purse.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Chelsea.
Okay. I'm going backwards on my list. I kind of made a list in order. My number 4 is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh,
that
okay.
game.
Is that your favorite Star Wars game?
Yes.
I guess, since it's on this list, unless there's more.
Yeah. No, spoilers. There's not anymore. I've played I played a couple, but I mean that game had a lot going for it. It has a great story, very interesting characters, gameplay that's both challenging and a lot of fun, and like it's purposeful with like actually using your abilities and like the creativity involved with that and lots of combos. That's what I wanted in a Star Wars game, and I'm glad I played that.
Especially a Jedi game, because it's been a very long time since we've had a good Jedi focused game. Mm-hmm. Like not since like Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, and Jedi Outcast. Like the stories were, whatever, but like the combat in those games was just like you were saying with Fallen Order. Like it was just very skill based, skill oriented. It wasn't just like hack and slash. Like the Force Unleashed games were, because they very linearly hack and slash, very boring, and the story was just bad shit. So, and yeah, that was my favorite thing about Fallen Order as well. It was the Souls-like for Star Wars, but like the combat was like one of the best things about the game. Like it feels better when it had like that difficulty curve, and like some of the boss battles where you're just fighting another lightsaber wielder, like some of those were intense.
It was satisfying when you beat them.
Yeah.
Very satisfying.
And I'm really really excited for the sequel to be announced.
Yes.
Hopefully soon. I mean,
I hope so. Maybe in a couple weeks.
Yeah, probably in a couple weeks, maybe in a couple days, who knows. So
yes. Mm-hmm.
It should be cool. There's a lot of rumors swirling around about it, but I'm just glad they're continuing on. Hopefully they stick with the series. I know there's like 9 like Star Wars games in development from all these different studios now. Like they've kind of opened up Pandora's box here and just kind of let anyone pull out what they want. So that's kind of cool if you're a Star Wars fan, that there's a lot of games coming and all different, all different types and everything. So, but yeah, I really like Fallen Order. It was a huge surprise hit because I don't think a lot of people had any expectations for it. Star Wars games,
I would agree,
up to that point were pretty rough to say the least. So I mean, we just recently got another really high mark Star Wars game. That Lego Skywalker Saga is like killing it.
Oh, I really want to play that.
It's doing really well with sales. Got really good reviews. Like, so yeah, maybe we're in the a new era for Star Wars games, that they're actually good. They're actually good again.
I hope so. That'll be good.
It's been since like the 90s since they were good. It's not on my list, but my favorite Star Wars game was, did anyone play Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds? It was on the PC. It's just a strategy game. It was like basically Age of Empires, but with Star Wars.
Huh.
And it was like, I'd still play it if I had the ability to. It was like I sunk so much time into that game. All right, back to me. One of my favorite things about Star Wars, this is sort of more of a modern revelation, but Dave Filoni, like ever since he came into the picture with Clone Wars, he directed the he did the movie, and then he was a big part of the series, and then he went on to do Rebels, and then working with Favreau with The Mandalorian, and working with Robert Rodriguez with Book of Boba Fett. Like, he's essentially just like the guy, since Lucas is no longer, once it was sold to Disney and Lucas was kind of out of the picture, he's still kind of around, but he doesn't have any like sway, I guess, anymore. Filoni is kind of like the quintessential like Star Wars lore consultant slash. He's just like a big dork basically, but like he's kind of there to keep Star Wars, I guess. Like, all the stuff that he's kind of introduced is just so good. Like, everything he's touched and everything he's been a part of, like, even before Star Wars, like, he was a director and writer for Avatar: The Last Airbender for its first season. And that kind of what got him noticed by George Lucas. And Lucas was like, hey, I need your help with this Star Wars show. Because before that, he was just an animator. Like, he worked on Kim Possible, he worked on King of the Hill. Like, he kind of was floating around just doing animation work.
What an interesting palette he has.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And then once George Lucas found him, like he's literally just like a younger George Lucas. Like, he just has like that, that mind for the world. And I'm glad that he's like a big prominent like factor in this universe still. More on the TV side, like, I really want him to get a chance to do like a film, like besides that Clone Wars animated film that they did. But like, I want to see a live action Star Wars film from Filoni and see what that'd be about. I think that'd be really cool. All right, Wade.
So I'm gonna talk about Kotor.
All right.
Yeah. So like we played it back on. Oh God, what was it originally on?
Well, it was Xbox exclusive and PC.
Mm-hmm.
Was it?
Yeah.
It must have been my friend's Xbox.
Yeah,
it must have been because it was a console.
Kotor and Kotor 2 were Xbox exclusives in the console space.
I remember playing those for the first time with my friend, and I was just like blown away because I was like, the first time I'd played a game like that. It was just crazy, the fact that you could do all of these things and have like your party, and you could like talk to them. You had like the dialogue options and stuff like that. Like, that was crazy at the time. I'm so glad that they're remaking it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
It's one of the better Star Wars stories, because not only does it take place in an era that we don't get a lot of focus on, like the Old Republic is pretty much, besides those games, almost like never touched on at all.
Right.
So that was different. That was a different thing going for it. And since it was a BioWare game, like at that time they still had a really good reputation, and they knocked it out of the park with Star Wars. Like, you're able to go to all these different locations, all these different planets, meet all these different characters. All the characters were interesting. The writing was in depth. All the choices felt engaging. You had pretty much free reign on how you wanted to develop your character. Like, it hit all the high marks for a good RPG, and then just that Star Wars coat of paint. So yeah, I'm glad they're doing a remake. I would love to see, like, I don't know if I want a KOTOR 3, but I would love just another like RPG centric Star Wars game. Like, I think that'd be really
I'm really
cool.
glad they're making the remake too, because I've never actually played it, and I've always wanted to. So I'm
If you're
really
a
looking
big-
forward
you're
to
a
the
big-
opportunity.
You're a big Mass Effect person, so you'll like this. It's
It's Mass Effect with Star Wars.
it's Mass Effect with Star Wars.
I mean, sounds great
Literally,
to me.
that's
Can't
literally
wait.
what it is.
Yeah, pretty much. More, it's not quite turn-based combat, but more leaning that direction than like Mass Effect kind of going more like cover-based shooter. Like kind of towards the end, Mass Effect turns more into like an action game, and KOTOR is very much like a classic RPG. With a little, this combat's a little, I don't want to say slow, that makes it sound bad, but it's not as like, it's not like you're playing like Gears of War or some shit like that, you know. It's
It's just a little different than
it's a little bit more
other ones.
slow and a little bit more intentional, I guess, with what you're doing. But man, it's a good. It's both
Still
of them
sounds cool. Can't wait.
Both of them are really good. The first one has like one of the best like twists in gaming. Like,
yeah, for real.
It's so freaking good, and it was earned. It didn't feel cheap at all. Like it was good. It was a really good game. All right, Chelsea. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is a scene from a movie.
Ooh, nice.
And that would be the Battle of Crate in The Last Jedi. That was just spectacular, especially seeing that in theaters. I'm like, this is so cool, that because that whole like salt planet and just like the red parts of the salt flying up, and that was an amazing spectacle. And that's one that I'll always remember, and just everything that comes up when I think of that, like a particular scene from a Star Wars movie, I'm just like, that's what I picture.
One of the best shots from like on Crate is when Kylo and Luke are like standing off out there with their sabers, and it when Kylo swings his saber and Luke takes a step back, and it like opens up the sand, and it just looks like a blood splatter or whatever. Like obviously it wasn't, but it just like the visual language was like a cut, and it was just like blood like splatters, kind of like a samurai film. Like that is so fucking cool. Like like it's such a cool stylized shot, you know. Like everything about Crate was like a visual stunner. Like it was a really very cool design to do that, you know, because they could have just done Hoth but with sand, but instead they're like, hey, you know, it'd be cool, let's make the underbelly of the sand red. Like it just adds like this extra layer of like, you know, visual like flair that's like super cool. Yeah, that film in general is very well shot.
It's the whole movie. The
whole movie.
Number 2.
Like for me, that's my favorite film for cinematography. I think it's like the best shot Star Wars film out of all. That and Rogue One are like my 2 favorites for like just like the. It's also like 2 very good DPs. So.
Oh, I like Rogue One.
In fact, Rogue One was shot by Greg Fraser, who just won the Oscar this year for Dune. So he also did the Batman. So that dude's on a roll. That dude he's got a knack for amazing cinematography. But yeah, I'm with you. Like Crate was cool. Crate was cool. I want that shirt.
Yes.
All right. What am I? 3. A thing I like about Star Wars is the iconic villains.
Count Dooku all the way.
Hey, Dooku, I really like Christopher Lee, so even if Dooku doesn't really do a whole lot, that voice is enough to impress me, you know?
He was on screen and he was talking, and you're just like, oh my god. Like, it didn't matter how he was fighting or what he did. It was like, nope, he's just there and he's just talking.
Yeah, I don't
cower.
Yeah, I never needed an action scene from him. He could have the whole movie could have just been like a monologue from him, and I'd be like, that's the best movie I've ever seen. Like,
although he did beat Obi-Wan and Anakin one-handed, so
yeah, I mean,
he was just like, get out of here.
Yeah, Dooku was cool. The Emperor's cool. You know, Vader's cool. Darth Maul's cool. Cad Bane's cool. Like even like the more like anti-heroes, like there's just some really cool villains throughout the whole Star Wars canon, both in the films and the shows and the books and the games. Like they do a really good job making some pretty like not only just like they have really good like one note villains, like this person's just a villain for villain's sake, but they also have like very like emotional depth to a lot of their villains. Like Vader specifically has like this, obviously the whole arc. But like that's something that you don't see a lot in fiction, is like putting a lot of emphasis on the villains besides just being like, the antagonist for the protagonist. You know what I mean? Like, and Star Wars put a lot of emphasis on the villains.
Well, they say your heroes know better than your villain is. So
yeah. Your hero's only as good as your is only as good as your villain is evil or whatever. Like that's another. Well, I mean, we'll get into it, but that's another thing I like about Star Wars, is just like that emphasis on balance.
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
So, all right, Wade.
Okay, my number two, number four, whichever direction we're going in.
Yeah, I can't remember anymore.
My next one is a memory, a Star Wars related memory.
Oh, nice.
When Episode 3 came out, that was 8th grade for me.
Yeah, 2005.
And yes.
There you go, kids. Yes. Do the math. That's how old Wade is.
Mm-hmm. And so we had been prepping, me and this big group of friends, we had been prepping this movie for absolute weeks. Like, we'd watch all the other movies like once a week. Some of us owned the the script for the movie, like the screenplay, I guess,
Yeah.
For whatever reason, we decided we had to buy that. So we'd read that a whole lot, but then we got together to go watch it at the theater, and it was just like the biggest deal ever. Like, you get to the end, and Obi-Wan and Anakin are chasing each other through the planet, fighting, and it's drama, and everybody else is dying. It's just like, oh my god. And then it ends, and you're just like, you have this feeling of I want to know what happens next, except you do.
You do know what happens. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah, it was more just we know how this ends, so now we just got to see how it begins. So it's kind of a weird way to watch a trilogy of films, you know what I mean? Because you kind of already know the ending. So.
Right.
But they still found a way to make the stakes high. You know what I mean? Even though you know where all the trajectory for all the characters is, he still felt it still was compelling, Also, Revenge of the Sith, to me, still has the best soundtrack out of all of them. This, John Williams was this is the last movie I'm doing, right? I'm gonna go all out. Little did he know he'd be doing 3 more or whatever the shit. But yeah, Revenge of the Sith, the music's amazing. Also, come to think of it, I think it has the best intro. After the prologue, lettering or whatever scrolls off, the intro is just that pan down, and it just shows that huge space battle over Coruscant. That's one of the best openings for a Star Wars movie. It's and the bass kicks in, and then you're following Obi-Wan and Anakin flying their ships. It's fucking cool. That's a very cool way to start that film.
Now I gotta go watch it. Thanks.
I kind of want to watch it too, honestly.
Podcast Demastered View Party. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. All right, let's take a break. We're gonna go. Let's go watch Star Wars.
We'll get back later.
Out of all the prequel films, that's the one that's the most rewatchable for me.
I'll skip episode 1 every time.
Yes.
I like episode 1 more than 2. 2's the one that I don't really care to watch ever.
2's got a lot of whiny Anakin in it. In which case, I mean it's the whole movie.
Yeah, 85% of that film.
Yeah. Oh god. But 1, for me, 1 is it's nothing but politics. The entire movie is politics.
Yeah.
And Jar Jar Binks. And I could just fall asleep every time I watch it. I think I have, maybe.
Yeah, 1 is...
skip to the end, watch the battle.
Yeah,
and that's about it.
1's pretty dry, but that doesn't bother me. I kind of like it. I also liked that it was still shot on film, because like Attack of the Clones was like famously like the first movie shot digitally, like big studio film that was shot digitally. So like going from 1 to 2 is like a huge visual leap, and 2 does not age super well, but 1 does, because it's still practical effects. It's still shot on film. Like going back and watching 1, like it still pretty much all looks pretty damn good. And I love the pod race. I think the pod race is fucking cool. I think
the really cool.
The lightsaber battle with Darth Maul is still like one of the like the best saber battles in Star Wars. Like that whole fight is epic. It's like 45 minutes long. Whatever.
Well, it's like, because it's like, here's 2 minutes of the fight. Now here's 25 minutes of something else happening.
Yeah, it's like,
these guys are fighting over here.
Yeah, it's like doing the space battle and then the saber battle and then the Gungans. Like it's swapping between like 3 different like conflicts or whatever. But yeah, I like Phantom Menace. I never really had a problem with the pace of it. But yeah, Attack of the Clones, like there's very little for me to like about it. Like they all have merit and they all have like highlights, but so much of the film drags. So, all right, who are we on? Chelsea?
Yes.
For me, for counting down to my number 2.
All right.
I love the very beginning of specifically all the numbered Star Wars movies. I love seeing that text that pops up, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and then bam, that the text scroll up into space, and then it just, cutting right to space and getting right in the action. That just always just gets me excited, really helps set the tone for the movie. And I'm just like, yes, I know what I'm getting into.
I'm 1,000% with you. Like anytime you watch these movies for the first time in a theater, and it's like, the Lucasfilm logo, and then it's like a long time ago, and then like that music swells, and then you get the text for like 5 minutes with this like amazing like score underneath it. It just amps you up. You're like, oh, I'm ready for some sci-fi shenanigans. Like, let's get into this. Like the quintessential like start to a space opera. It's fantastic. It's like the best intermission. It's super fucking cool. And like all the films, I guess I've watched out of the Skywalker, I watched 6 out of the 9 in theaters, and like that never got old. Like that same music kicking in. It's just like you just like grab your chair and you're just like, all right, let's do this. I'm ready.
I'm ready. Yes.
Yeah, so pumped. Yeah, I'm with you. That was one of the best things. All right. Where am I at? I'm kind of bouncing all over the place. Okay, here we go. One of the things I like about Star Wars is not only all the different, all the different species and alien races and planets and all that stuff, but they go that extra mile and they develop, like cultures and traditions for all these different races and species, and like they get really into it. Like most recently, with the show, the book of Boba Fett or whatever, they really dive deep into the culture and traditions of the Sand People, and it makes you like view them in a completely different light. And I love that stuff, and I love how they do that with like, if you watch the animated shows or if you read the books or even in some of the movies, like they spend a lot of time like actually developing these other races besides the humans, and make them feel like they actually exist in this universe, as opposed to just like, oh, well, we wanted our makeup department to make a bunch of funny looking creatures, so go nuts. Like they actually like give them background and lore, and it's really cool. If you're like really into that stuff, you can go down some like rabbit holes for like the Wookiees and Gungans and like, or even just like some of the humanoid stuff, like the Mandalorians and their whole like crazy religion, and how their religion has like offshoots and all, like it's really cool stuff.
Yeah, it really helps make the whole universe seem a lot more real and alive by giving backstories to more than just your main character.
And also, it makes it seem like a universe. It's it's like this big, expansive place, and it's not just, well, here's a storyline with these characters, and this is all just fluff. Like it's like, no, like this is a huge playground that we can get into. Like, that was one of the things that I really liked about it. Like, yeah, the movies, the 9 really do focus pretty much on the Skywalkers, but it's all that ancillary storytelling that they do. Like, some of it's like even better than what they did with like Skywalker, and just like really diving into like all the different groups and species and races and all that stuff. Like, it's very fleshed out. I've had a lot of good time like diving into that stuff. All right, so
That's very cool.
Are we getting ready to do our last one for everybody? Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, let's take a quick break before we divulge our last favorite thing of Star Wars. So hang in there, listeners, and we'll be right back. And welcome back, listeners, to our Star Wars episode. We're going to finish off our 5 favorite things about Star Wars right now before we move into the one thing we don't like about Star Wars. So,
just one today.
Just one thing.
Yes, just one.
Yeah, we're not gonna, like I said, we're not gonna turn this into some big debate, hot takes left and right. Let's keep it positive. So with that being said, Wade, what is your last thing you like about Star Wars?
Okay, so for my last thing, I wanted to do like a favorite character,
Okay.
but I really couldn't pick between 2, so I'm going to give 2. And they're completely different, like the reasons and stuff for it. So the first one is I think my really, really, truly favorite character is Yoda.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so hard not to like Yoda.
Yeah.
You get episode 5 Yoda, and he's just silly. He's goofball. There's emotion behind it too, and then he dies, and then that's it. But then like you learn more about him in episodes 1, 2, and 3, and you really get to like see him shine there too.
Yeah.
And I just loved that. Like anytime that Yoda like picked up his lightsaber, I was just like, oh, things are about to happen. And they always did. Yeah. And then the character that I just can't shake liking a lot is actually Rey.
Okay.
Yeah. Because her and like the way that her story starts and then like Luke's story, like they kind of have very similar paths until they don't.
Yeah.
Because like episode 8 just really blows Rey's whole thing out of the water for her. But like she's like, I'm going on a journey to become a Jedi, just like Luke was. But like her journey has like a lot more context behind it.
Yeah.
And all of this history and stuff. But they also they complicated that journey a lot with her too, which I really, really appreciated.
Yeah.
Things just weren't so simple as good and bad. Now, there's episode 9, and I won't talk about that right now. But everything else with Rey, like I don't think Rey's gonna be coming back for the next trilogy. Like I think they said somewhere they're like moving on. Like it's gonna be a new thing.
Yeah, I think for better or worse, I think they are gonna sideline most of the characters they created for this last trilogy for one reason or another. And you may I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that love that, and there's a lot of people out there that don't. It's one of the most divisive trilogies.
Yeah, I mean, a fresh start never hurts, and I'm pretty sure Daisy said like that's the end of Star Wars for her, more or less.
Yeah, because even like these actors as just like people, that like some of them like left social media because they got so much shit for this. Yeah. Like I don't blame them for wanting to step away from that universe, because like some of them took some heat unnecessarily from this fan base.
Well, and some of them gave a lot of heat too.
Yeah.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I remember when Rey was introduced, and like I was into it, but then like where it ended Like, it's just such a complicated... It's a complicated character that could have been a lot simpler, and they tried to, like, overcomplicate things, and it just made her journey feel less impactful.
It's just like, I feel like just the ending of her story was it was too simple. It was like, we're going to complicate it, and they're like, oh, we went too far off course, we have to reconnect. And
Yeah.
And I was just like, that... It just hurt. It hurt a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was very excited for when 8 ended, like, the trajectory that it could have gone, and then I think they got afraid of that, and they're like, no, we got to course correct back onto this, like, linear path, because I think we can't subvert too many expectations. And that's what I was liking about it. I liked that Rey's journey was going a different way. I thought that was really interesting.
And I love that, like, Finn was there with her too.
Yeah.
You know, like, I love that her and Finn had, like, the same journey.
Yeah.
And they, in, like, the first movie specifically, in parts of the 8th movie, purposely threw you off the trail of, like, well, who is it? Who is the Jedi? Who is supposed to be, like, the big person? Because you think it's Rey for a while, then here comes Finn, and he's doing something really freaking cool, and you're just like, oh, man, nope, it's going to be Finn. And then, like, 9 comes and just throws him off the side of the road. So
one of the best things about 8 too is it just, like, completely throws the idea of Jedi and Sith into the blender as well. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was also really cool. Yeah, man, that trilogy, I feel like we could talk about that shit forever.
we probably could, but I think Chelsea should give us her big one now.
Yeah, Chelsea, what's your number one?
Back onto positivity. Yeah. My number one thing I really like about Star Wars is the music. The music, for me, really just helps make Star Wars what it is. And I think it also kind of made it almost more accessible for people who may not have been as into Star Wars movies. And the music is just, I mean, from the icon himself, John Williams, and then you even have Michael Giacchino with Rogue One. Like, that music is spectacular in that film. There's a lot of good things to be said about that movie, but it's just, I can hear it on its own, and it brings you back to those movies, and when that plays, it gets you pumped up for what's going to happen in the movies. It's just, it's a magical experience.
It's one of the most, like, iconic pieces of music in film that there is. Like,
I could listen to Binary Sunset forever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we talked about this a lot when we did our music composers. Like, I love the Star Wars music. It's, like, it's a very good like, pairing with the film. Like, when you watch the film and that music, like, it's just, like, a very perfect symbiotic relationship. And yeah, it stood the test of time. I mean,
yes,
it's been around for, like, 40 years or some shit. Like, it's
almost
just as prominent.
And it's still just as good. It still gets me excited when I hear it, and in any form or fashion. Like, hearing it in games, or hearing it just like if they do, like, a press conference and they just start off by, like, playing the music or whatever before, like, a big announcement, you're just like, oh, this announcement's gonna be awesome. Like, it just has, like, that impact, you know. So yeah, I'm with you on that. The music is fantastic. All right, my last thing here. My favorite thing about Star Wars is the metaphysics of the Force and all the philosophical ideals that is introduced throughout Star Wars. I think that's one of the things that keeps me going back to it, because if you just take sections of just, like, some characters, like, dialogue and, like, their idealism and just, like, some of that stuff aside, you can really, like, take a deep dive on, like, what that stuff, like, actually means. And, like, you know, throughout the first few films with, like, Yoda and the Jedi Order, you really get this idea of you know, what the Force is and how it connects, you know, living beings and everything. And then, like, you get the prequel trilogy that kind of you know, some people don't like the midichlorians or whatever, but I think it's part of it's like it's misunderstood. I think it's more of just like, I don't want to get too much into it, but like how each one of these things is just like expanded upon, and then like you get to like this new trilogy, and the idea of even just like balance is like discussed with Luke in the 8th film, talking about, you know, there is no just like pure good and pure evil. Like a lot of that stuff is like rooted deeply in like Eastern philosophy and like, you know, real life. With like the yin and the yang and like Buddhism and all of that stuff, and I think George Lucas like obviously was inspired by a lot of that stuff, and just like incorporating it into this space opera where he didn't really need to at all, but it just adds this extra layer of just like just, you know, stuff that you can discuss and openly talk about, and it's just, it makes it seem more palpable, I guess, as opposed to just like this sci-fi spectacle. Like it gives it just like another layer of like depth that I really appreciate.
There's a lot to think about there, yeah.
That's one of the reasons why Yoda is such an amazing character, because you can just listen to him talk and you're just like, man, this dude's like sending me for like a trip, you know, like the stuff he's discussing and why it matters, and you know, the idea that, you know, like the whole Vader journey is essentially just of someone who didn't understand how to control like their emotions and what it led to. Like all these like philosophical, like all these ideals that were presented to you are like the crux for like the whole arc of the series, you know? And it's just, I don't know. I think that stuff's like super fascinating, and it was completely not really needed. And I think this series would still be just as popular, but it just is one of those things that you can keep going back to and reading about, and you're just like, man, this is some deep shit. Like I can get down on this, you know, like, and not a lot of like mainstream popular stuff had that. You know what I mean? Like you don't see Transformers or like G.I. Joe or fucking, you know, a lot of these big things that have been around for, you know, the 70s and 80s, and you know, as long as Star Wars, like Star Wars is one of the few things out there that actually has like so many layers to it, and it really just speaks volumes to George Lucas, like, and what he like created. So yeah, that's one of that part. If I had to rank these, that's probably like my number one favorite thing about Star Wars, is just the philosophical nature of it all. I'm like a huge nerd for philosophy anyways, so it's just another reason to like it. So, all right. So yeah, those are all the things that we like or love about Star Wars. Let's go ahead and enter this dark room over here and discuss the one thing that we don't like about Star Wars. Just so we have that balance.
Yes.
So, who wants to go first?
I'll go first so I can say it and get it out of the way, and we don't have to talk about it.
Okay.
Because, yeah. Now, I'm going to say it, and you're going to be like, what? And I'm going to be like, we're not going to talk about it.
Okay.
But
What a tease.
The Skywalker stuff. That's what.
Like the over-reliance on like the one like family tree.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree with that.
Everything was fine and dandy, and then Episode 9 came and smothered everybody with it, and it ruined Rey.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and jump in front of you, Chelsea, because mine kind of is like mine kind of expands upon Wade's a little bit. The one thing I don't like about Star Wars is its over-reliance on nostalgia. And I think that's exactly what happened with 9, is they thought that they had to make, you know, keep the sky, like these names that people know. Like everyone's like, oh, well, Rey has to be either a Kenobi or a Skywalker, or or whatever, because apparently these are the only families that exist in this massive universe. And then they're like, oh, well, hey, let's make her a Palpatine because Palpatine's a big name. But then she gets to choose that she could be a Skywalker because we have to, this relies to stay in that one lane. What Rian Johnson tried to do with 8, and be like, hey, let's take this shit and go this way with it. And they're like, no. No. We got to sell merchandise. We got to sell hats. We got to make her, gotta sell toys, gotta make her a Skywalker or whatever the shit. Like, that's the one thing I've never liked about Star Wars is their it's almost like a fear to like just really just subvert expectations and just like, let's just blow it up and just like go our own. Like, that whole trilogy could have had nothing to do with Skywalker and it would have been fine. And that's kind of what I was wanting out of it. And then the fact that they had to bring it all back and dig up all these fucking old characters and find a way to slap ass them into the film, and it's just like, ugh, do we have to do this? Like, this is literally a universe, and we're staying with like, they always feel compelled to put Tatooine into everything, and that speaks to like the shows and the the animated ones and the live action ones. It's like they always feel like they have to come back to the same pot, so people are like, oh, I know that place, that's the same cantina I've seen in 70 fucking things. Like, is there not another bar people can drink at? Like, I want the universe to actually be a universe and like go out there and explore and meet new things and do new things, and not just like keep pulling it back into the same thing over and over and over. And I get it. At the end of the day, it's fucking business. And they gotta make money, and nostalgia sells. But that's what I don't like. So sorry, Chelsea. I don't want to. It's just mine felt like so connected to his, so I just wanted to expand on that.
No,
so
you're
yours?
fine. I had considered discussing that, but it's, to me, still really fresh in my mind, and I feel like my feelings haven't fully formed on that situation. So the one thing that I always come back to that I absolutely dislike is Jar Jar Binks. He ruins that first movie for me.
No.
And I'm not even jumping on like a popularity train or anything. It's just every single time I've ever watched those movies and I've seen that first one, I'm just like, OMG, what is this movie? This movie becomes a joke in certain ways just because of him.
I wonder if it's George Lucas's social commentary that he made him a senator. It's like, hey, let's take this dumb shit character and make him a politician.
Oh gosh. Oh, that's too real. Oh gosh.
Like, if
Maybe
Jar Jar can become a
that,
senator, anyone can.
Oops.
Yeah.
They did it.
Oops, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously not the best created character.
He's just annoying.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. He's supposed to be like the comedic relief. He's there for the kids. He's the 3PO character. He's supposed to just have like these, for that film, he's supposed to just bring the laughs, but instead it's just like the way he speaks.
He brings the groans.
Yeah, the way he speaks, the way he's like overly theatrical with everything. Like, especially in that first film for sure, because in like 2 and 3, he's just like, he's barely there. When he is there, he's like, I'm a politician now, so he's gotta put the suit and tie on, gotta put those pants on one leg at a time, But yeah, I get it. I get it.
Yeah,
like, it's one of those things where you're just like, all right, let's move on. Next scene. Let's just
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's just ignore him.
Yeah. And even like the characters in the film are kind of like, they all feel the same way. There's like, God, this dude's fucking dope. Like, but we kind of need him because we're lost in this like planet, and yeah. But yeah, I mean, he's there for the kids. He's there for the kids.
I was a kid when I saw that movie, and I thought he was annoying, so it just didn't work for me. But I know plenty of people love him, so.
Yeah, I don't remember if I had any like hot takes about Jar Jar when I first watched that. That came out 99, so I was 10, 10 or 11 when that came out. So yeah, I don't remember having hot takes about most things back then though. So, all right, you guys want to move on and talk about what your lightsaber color would be?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right, who wants to go first with this one?
Mine's boring, so I'll go first.
All right, I like boring.
So one of the things that I really like about Star Wars is that, like, you have your lightsabers, but the colors are important.
Yeah.
Into like why you have them. But my decision has nothing to do with any of that.
Is it literally just like you like the color, or you like the way
I really like blue, and I like the look of the blue lightsabers all the time. So mine would be blue.
Hey man,
Yeah,
I'm just
simple
saying.
as that.
You know, the blue, like, that goes to the Jedi Knights, the Warriors. I see how you play Fortnite, so I think it fits. This dude's straight up, like, this dude is cold. Like, it's ice in his veins. Like, blue is a fitting lightsaber color for you, my friend. So, yeah.
Anyway.
Chelsea, what about
Moving
you?
on.
Oh, I think my go-to color would be orange.
Oh,
It was
okay.
a color that I fell in love with while playing Fallen Order. It also just looked good on screen, and it was a lot of fun to play with, and I was just like, I like the color orange too, so yep, it's just orange. I don't really have a whole meaningful backstory to
I was
that.
gonna say, does orange is relatively new. Does it even have lore behind it? Because I'm pretty sure,
Sure it
I'm sure
does.
orange first came around like in the games. Because I want to say it was in the Jedi Knight games back in the like early aughts or whatever. I think you can play as orange.
It does have a meaning. An orange lightsaber symbolizes a Jedi master with great knowledge and wisdom. Orange lightsabers are rare in the universe, as very few Jedi masters even exist. If an orange lightsaber is used by a Sith Lord or apprentice, it represents great power and leadership abilities. There you go.
Okay.
I'll take it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, makes sense.
Sith Lord all the way. That's our Chelsea.
Yeah. 100%. The silent assassin.
You know it.
All right, so mine. So I have like a favorite lightsaber color, but then I also have a favorite, like lightsaber, I guess, meaning that would be fitting for me. So I'll start with that one first. That would be green, because green wielders are more masters of the Force, and if I like that was always more meaningful to me as someone who just like completely understands that side of things, as opposed to just being like a very good swordsman and a good fighter. Like I would definitely lean more into the camp of just like understanding the Force and how to use it. But my favorite color, and especially like from like anytime you play a game, when you always get that choice to pick your like kyber crystal and what color you're going to be, I always did purple when it became a thing, because famously purple it came into existence because that's Samuel L. Jackson's favorite color. So George Lucas is like, sure, we'll give you a purple lightsaber.
I love that story behind that too.
Great.
Yeah. And then later on, like, authors and like the expanded universe are like, well, let's give it a meaning and a purpose and all that shit. And it actually kind of is like pretty cool, because since purple is like a fusion between red and blue, it's supposed to symbolize like perfect balance. Someone who has a little bit of a little bit of dark and a little bit of light in them, and kind of doesn't really tread too far in one way or the other, which that kind of sums up Samuel L. Jackson, I would say. His character for sure. But yeah, anytime I would play a game, I would always want to try and get a purple lightsaber. I really like purple as a color, and I think it's super like striking, like visually, just having like a purple saber. But for lore purposes, I would choose green, I guess, if I had to. All right, last thing, a location anywhere in Star Wars that we would want to visit. It could be for a weekend getaway. It could be, this is where I want to live. It could be, this is where I want to go to have a drink. You know, whatever your reasoning is, this is the one location that you would want to go to. Who wants to go first for this?
I'll go first again.
All right.
So again, I had a tie, but for like again different reasons. So as you just put, if I had like a weekend getaway spot, I'd want to go to Coruscant.
Okay.
Because like it's a planet that is a city.
Yeah.
You know, like that is crazy.
It's essentially if Tokyo was a planet.
For real, yeah. So like I just even like let's like do a weekend tour of Coruscant. Okay. But if I could choose a place to like settle down and just kind of live and relax, read books, stuff like that, I'd want to live on Naboo, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very peaceful.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's literally like a paradise. You know. Chelsea, what about you?
I was looking at a place more of like a weekend getaway, a little place that was kind of, quirky but cool. Wanted to like see the sights. It would be Cloud City.
Oh, okay.
I like to, get one of the cloud cars and just go sightseeing, flying around the city, and just enjoying what it has to offer for a very short amount of time, and then getting out of there.
Yeah. It's like a corporate city.
One bad weekend.
Probably.
Yeah, so there was a part of me when I first thought about this, I was like, all right, I definitely would want to have a drink at the Cantina. It's like the most famous bar in Star Wars or whatever. But then I was like, yeah, but that place is full of shitheads. And like...
Do you really want to go to Tatooine?
Yeah, like it's essentially like the equivalent of just like one of those like dingy like dive bars that's full of bikers and just like unsavory characters. So I was thinking, I was like, all right, well, I just wanted, I'm thinking I just wanted to go there because for nostalgia reasons, right? I would never actually want to drink there because that place is just awful. So I was like, all right.
You'd either like get shanked or
yeah, exactly,
kidnapped into slavery for Jabba.
Yeah. So I nixed that idea. So then I was just like, all right, well, what if it was just like a weekend getaway? And I'm like, with like Wade was saying, if I had like a weekend getaway, I would want to get like a villa somewhere on Naboo, like overlook, like by a waterfall, and just have a very peaceful like 3 or 4 days. It's like one of the most beautiful and like peaceful locations and like that's shown in Star Wars. Like I would just want to lay like by some like water, I not the sand, I don't like sand. It gets everywhere. But no, I would love to go to Naboo. I think that place would be. It's like it's like going to like Greece or like Italy or something. Like it's very like Mediterranean looking. So I think that'd be very very relaxing. I can get down on that. I don't know where I would want to live though. I would say Alderaan, but it has a pretty brutal ending, so...
Just make sure you're alive a long time before that. It's fine.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Yeah, I don't want to be... Yeah, I definitely don't want to be around in the Empire days on Alderaan, so... Yeah, I don't know. But for sure, like, vacation spot would be Naboo. Far enough away from a Gungan village. I don't want any of that shit. Like you definitely when you go to Naboo you got to stay on the resort, if you try if you leave the tourist area then it gets a little zany, so definitely stay on the resort. All right, I think we've covered in as much positivity as we can. Star
Scratched
Wars.
a little bit of an itch.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I know that we
fun.
could definitely do more with this down the road because it's a huge just vault of content that we can talk about, good and bad. So this isn't going to be the end all for Star Wars for this show, but we kind of just wanted to do like a very just open, kind of loose show about it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. And yeah, there'll be more to come from Star Wars in the future, so don't worry. Chelsea, you wanna take us out?
Yes. Well, thank you everyone for listening to this week's episode. It's our little tease into Star Wars. Be sure to like and subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast. Share it with a friend. You can also follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at PodDemastered. Feel free to also send us an email. And, we mentioned at the top of the show we're doing a Q&A episode at the beginning of June. So feel free to send us your questions as well. And our email is demasteredpodcast@gmail.com. And thanks again for listening to this week's episode, and we hope you tune in next week. Bye.
May the Fourth be with you.